Today, on What It's Like, back at Max Motive located in Cheswick, Pennsylvania, to take a look at this 1958 Jaguar XK150. But before getting into all of it, I'm Jay. Welcome to What It's Like. Picture this. You just acquired a car you'd like to know more information about. We feature the classics, vintage, some exotics, lots of orphan cars, and cars off the beaten path. Dive in deep with specs, period correct ads, and do a full tour of the dash, button switches, and knobs. If that sounds of interest to you, subscribe and hit the bell icon next to it to never miss a video. So, a bit of background on the XK series. The XK120 was produced from 1948 to 1954, and it was a pretty big deal because it was Jaguar's first sports car since the SS100 back in 1939. 120 in the name was for 120 miles per hour. It was the fastest car in the world at that point in time. XK120 was replaced by the XK140, and it was produced from 1954 to 1957. Side note, I always thought 140 meant 140 miles per hour, just like how 120 meant 120 miles per hour. But after doing some research, that wasn't the case. The biggest difference between the XK120 and the XK140 were there was more interior space, better brakes, rack and pinion steering, increased suspension travel, telescoping shock absorbers. The XK120 was replaced by the XK150 in 1957, and it had a production run from 1957 to 1961, was only offered as a fixed head coupe or FHC or drop head coupe, DHC, which was their way of saying convertible. Jag did offer the Roadster version, but it didn't come until late 1958. Differences between the XK140 and the XK150 besides the spelling were XK150 was wider overall, with the biggest change to the body being a straighter wing line. Hood, or as the English would say, bonnet, was wider, single wraparound windshield as opposed to a two-piece windshield. But because by that time, you got to think 1957, everybody was using a single piece of glass. In the comments, was this the last car to convert to a single piece of glass? I'm interested because I don't know of any other car that held out with two pieces of glass besides this car. So that's a very interesting point. Interior room was also improved thanks to thinner doors. Also, this car is equipped with four-wheel disc brakes, which were developed with Dunlop. Later on, there was an XK150S. The S signified straight port cylinder head. Let's talk specs. 177 inches long, 62.2 inches wide. It rides a wheelbase of 102 inches. It weighs 2,968 pounds. Price, $4,475, which is equivalent to you spending $46,145.46 in the year 2022. Total 1958 Jag production was 4,607 units. Total. Now, I'm talking about the total run of XK150 production was 7,929 units. 888 were the S model. 1,339 were the Roadster model. 4,101 were the fixed head coupe variety. And 2,489 were the drop head coupes. Moving on to engines, there's only one engine on offer in 1958, 231.9 cubic inch displacement, inline six, 3.8 liters. It makes 213 horsepower, 216 foot-pounds of torque. Compression is 8-to-1. It is fed with two SU side draft carburetors. When mated to a 4-speed manual transmission, 0 to 60 could be had in 8.1 seconds. It'll do the quarter mile in 16.7 seconds. Theoretical top speed is 132 miles per hour. Notice it's not 150. I thought that it would be 150 because the XK120 stood for 120 miles per hour, and it's simply not the case with this car. Average fuel consumption is somewhere around 15.3 miles to the gallon. All right, so coming up and getting inside. So just check out this door panel. There's a lot going on. I love the design of it. Just notice how it goes up as it goes towards the front of the door. This is the armrest / door handle to pull the door shut. There's a nice space to put stuff down inside here. Ashtray on the door panel itself. This is the door handle to get out. This is the window crank for the big window. And just look at how it operates. And look at how it's designed. It's all chromed out. Coming down inside the pedal box down here, clutch, brake, gas pedal. There is a storage cubby right there. Here's what over the hood looks like. Here's what first person looks like. There is adequate space underneath the steering wheel. On to the button switches and knobs, starting in the middle of the dashboard, but on the left side, fuel or petrol as the English call it. Just below wiper, there is a button that has a P on it. That is for the panel lights. Heater, fast and slow. Tachometer with clock at the bottom. Amp gauge just below the dashboard. That is for the heater boost. Just below the amp gauge, there's this weird switch that controls the headlights. There are two small buttons on both sides of the lights. The one on the left-hand side, that controls the windshield washer feature. The one on the right would be interior lights if this was a coupe. Speedometer with tripometer at the top, odometer in the center. Ignition, small button next to the ignition is actually the starter button. Lighter, and the last gauge is for the oil pressure at the top, water temperature at the bottom. I feel kind of squished in this car. You definitely sit in it, not on it. But I feel like my seat has to go back a little bit. Rear view mirror is mounted on the dash. There's a grab handle here to hold on to. Here's what the door panel looks like on the passenger side. Check out the stick shift situation. It's like bent. Handbrake there. Here's what the keys look like. Kind of cool. Coming back to the trunk back here. Here's what the trunk looks like, and there's a prop for the trunk. So if you had to get in here for an extended period of time, you can just prop it open. On to the pros and cons. I'm getting all of these pros and cons from the complete book of collectible cars, Blue Chip Auto Investments, 70 years from 1930 to 2000 by Richard M. Langworth and the auto editors of Consumer Guide on the positive side. As for the 1954 through 57 xk150 plus better brakes and more restful performance, milestone car status against it. As for the 1954 through 57 xk140 but less pleasant lines and extra weight. All right, so we got to go back to the xk140 and see what was said about that car. On the positive side, as for the xk120 plus better performance and sturdier body, milestone car status against it. As for the xk120, except for the improved brakes and handling. So we got to go back one more time to the xk120 and see what was said about that car because it applies to all of the cars going forward. On the positive side, classic styling, legendary performance, rugged, long life engine, most mechanical parts still available, active club support, a milestone car, prices at bargain levels compared to a decade ago. Against it, body rusts badly if neglected, heavy steering, dodgy brakes, poor driving position, not cheap. I totally agree with that last one. These cars, if you bought these cars 20 years ago, you would be sitting on a gold mine now. They are definitely an investment worth investing in if you can get one for about the right price. I don't know what the going rate for one of these is, but I know that they're not cheap. Anyway, now it's time for Name That Tune. First person to give me the correct name of the band as well as song title correctly will have their comment pinned to the top of the comment section. That song is just so smooth, just like this car is. Anyway, thank you all so much for coming out and watching this. I really appreciate all the continued support. And until next time, well, actually, if you'd like to get in touch with me, there are two ways. You could either leave a comment in the comment section below. I read and answer all comments posted, or you could check out the Facebook group that correlates with this YouTube channel. There's no obligation to join, but it gives you the opportunity to share your rides, stories, experiences that you have with these cars. And share share your rides on there. It's really nice to see what kind of cars that you guys have, and I wish that YouTube let people share their cars on here. That's why that group exists. So everybody, I want this to be more than a car YouTube channel because everybody and their mom has a car YouTube channel. I want this to be a car community. So if you're interested in that, link is in the description. Until next time, toodaloo!